Hello, today I'm gonna talk about the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games have a structure like most of literature, which is a three-act structure. This means that in the first act, it is a bit of an introductory to the characters and of the main conflict. The second act is the main part, and the third act is the conclusion. Now, today I'm gonna talk about the second act, which begins at the interview of Caesar Flickerman and ends short before the finale. So it begins with the interview where Peter Malark says that he is in love with Katniss. Now this shocks the audience, but Katniss doesn't take it very well. After that, she is very angry and she slams her palms into his chest. He falls and he falls onto an urn. From that, he gets an injury of his hand, but and this is officially illegal. But he doesn't tell it the capital because he has to keep up the facade. So a while after that, the final night before the games begin, they both can't sleep. So they go up to the roof where they meet and they have a mysterious talk where Peter says that he doesn't want to lose himself in the area and he wants to prove the capital that the capital doesn't belong him. Now, Katniss doesn't understand it very well at this point, but this is going to be very important soon. So the day after that, they have to say goodbye to all the people who they work with, and finally, Katniss goes into a glass cylinder, which means that the glass cylinder brings her up, and then she sees that the arena is wide and that is full of trees, and she has to stand 60 seconds until the games finally begin, because if she would go earlier, a bomb would go off and kill her. So when she looks at the cornucopia, she sees a bow and arrows. But so she is determined to go after them. But in the last moment, she catches Peter shaking his hand, and this confuses her a little bit. So she has a bad start, and she doesn't get her weapon. She is very angry because of that, and that's why she wants to have at least a rucksack, at least a bag. But she gets in a fight with a boy, which is interrupted by a girl who hits the boy with a knife. The boy immediately dies, and she runs off to the woods, running for her life. So she runs into a direction so that she gets far off the massacre at the cornucopia, and she just walks the whole day. At the night, the images of the deaths are shown, and she sees that 11 died, but Peter is not one of them. So she is very glad that Peter still lives, although she doesn't know why he was shaking his head and why he doesn't wanted that she gets her favorite weapon. She still wants that Peter will be the winner. Now, in the night, it's usually for Katniss that she goes up onto a tree because she has little weight, and this is very easy for her. Suddenly, she sees at the ground that a girl has started a fire, which is not very intelligent, but the temperature is pretty low at the night, so it is a little understandable. But then the couriers come and they kill her. But they find out that the cannon, which is a signal that somebody dies, hasn't fired off, which means that they just nearly killed her, and they need someone who finishes this job. And suddenly she hears Peter's voice, who says that he's gonna kill her, which shocks her because she was very confused about Peter, but she didn't believe that he would ever join the careers, because they are despised of every other district than the career districts. But nonetheless, he's now one of them. So she waits until they are far away, and then she goes searching for water. But the problem is that she doesn't find water anywhere. So her mouth becomes very dry, and she's very thirsty. And she nearly dehydrates, but in the last moment she sees she falls and her face is on mud, which is a signal that the war is very near. So she survived the first challenge. So Katniss first thought that now she will have some time where she can relax, but the Capitol wants to make the show a little bit more exciting. So they start a fire. There are fireballs who are chasing her, and one is hitting her right calf. So she runs into a lake to clean up her injured leg, but then the careers come, and she's defenseless. She has no weapon, so she starts climbing a tree. But they see her, and they just wait at the tree, and they know that someday she will have to go down to eat something and to drink something. So the first is start to climb up, like for example Sato, but he immediately just falls, because he has a very high weight and he's just not very handy. So they wait, but suddenly Katniss sees Rue, and Rue is on a tree, and she points on a point above Katniss. When she looks at this point, she sees a wasp nest. So now there are two options. It is either a normal wasp nest, but it would be very boring if this would be the case, and it's the Hunger Games, so it has to be brutal. And it was far more likely that it wasn't a normal wasp nest. It was indeed a crackerjacker nest. So these are mutations of wasps, and already a few stings could kill a person. And before that, they would hallucinate and have and their worst nightmares would come into in their mind into reality. So she goes up, and when the anthem starts, where they show the dead images, where they show the images of the dead, she cuts off a branch of the wasp nest, and it falls down. And what happens after that is a very big chaos. So the crackerjackers try to hit everybody, Katniss, and they the couriers run to a lake hoping to escape them, but one courier, which is Glimmer, gets hurt very badly. A lot of wasps attack her, and she's shouting for help, but nobody helps her. And finally, finally she gets a lot of stings and dies of them. Now, Katniss also got some stings, but she realizes that Glimmer has the bow and the arrow. So she takes it, but after that she suddenly sees Peter, and Peter does something very unexpectedly. He doesn't try to kill her or run away. He warns her. He says that she has to run very fast, because suddenly Sato comes, and then Katniss disappears, and he's very angry, so he attacks Peter. So from the venom, she's got very bad nightmares, where she which seem very realistic to her, and she sees various scenarios of Prim, her little sister, getting killed. So it does take some time until she recovers from that, but she survives that. So when she is hunting, she realizes that somebody is following her, and when she looks at the person, and she sees that she has very small shoes, so it must be Rue. So they talk a little bit, and she decides that Rue has to be her ally, because she just doesn't can kill Rue, because she reminds her of a little sister. And they talk a little bit, and they also help each other, because Rue, for example, has some medicine for Katniss' injuries, and Katniss has some medicine for Rue's injuries. And they also talk about their lives at their district, and which is pretty new to Katniss, because she knows nearly nothing about the other districts. And at some point, they talk about how they can outsmart their careers. So Katniss has the idea to destroy the foot of careers, but she doesn't know how. So they have a plan. So Rue has to set a couple of fires to distract the careers, and let them walk to them, so that the foot is unprotected. And when Katniss goes to the lake where the Conocria and the foot is, she sees that there's only the boy from District 3. And it's a little surprising to her, because he's not part of the careers, but he protects the food, and he's just the only one. But he's soonly walking with the others too at the fires. So Katniss wonders why the foot is unprotected, and she sees at the other side